What is up? What is up? What is up, FightHype family? Boxing fans around the world here once again, once more from the high-tech, elaborate studios in Las Vegas. FightHype headquarters in Las. Oh wait. FightHype headquarters in Las Vegas. We got a big fight coming up. Obviously, 10 days from today, April 22nd, T-Mobile Arena, Showtime pay-per-view. Ryan Garcia against Gervonta Tank Davis, and I actually got a chance to watch both fighters up close and personal at both of their media days. Got to see them both work out, and which is a real privilege of working in this business, getting to see these guys up close before the big fight and getting to assess at a deeper level, having seen them both up close, how we think the fight's going to play out. So, before we get locked in here, what's up, chat? What's up, Dane Sampson, Jesus M? Good to see my people in here. Let's start with the official. The official FightHype Live is now began with the official theme song. Ryan Garcia, tall, fast, explosive, punches hard, but are his skills good enough? Is he a complete enough fighter like Gervonta Davis keeps talking about time and time again? We'll go over that today in this live. We'll take a look at footage from both fighters in camp. We'll take a look at Ryan yesterday, who worked out in Beverly Hills out in Los Angeles. Trained at an $18 million mansion with Joe Goosen, Oscar De La Hoya, his family all on hand. And we'll compare and contrast these two. It should be a hell of a fight that will end in a knockout. I don't think this is going to be a fight fought at a big pace. But it should be very good. It should end in a knockout. So the fight should end in a knockout, and Davis is the favorite, and I do see that being the case based on what I've seen from both fighters. Gervonta last Thursday, Ryan yesterday in Los Angeles. Davis is the favorite from what I can see. So let's begin to go over some things. Let me shout out some people in the chat before we get started. Gourmet Everything, thank you, my brother. Marvelous Irv, much love to you, Marvelous Irv, for always holding it down in the chat, man. Molly Mall said, everybody go replay the Fundora knockout call from Sean Z. Molly Mall, I gotta work on it a little bit. It's great to have excitement and passion, but I don't want to hurt your eardrums either. And I gotta, like Ryan Garcia, it's good to have fast hands, but you gotta control that talent that you got. And so I might have to really not peel back the passion, but get better voice control on those knockout calls. But I'm happy you guys liked it. Deeply Goated, how you doing? Good to see. Aggravated Don, Roddy Younger. Let's go, almost fight time. My man Silverstream, good to see you. And so let's go. Without further ado, let's touch on some points here. So, 3 things to take away. Point number 1. Garcia didn't confirm or deny a mole in camp for the infamous hurt to the body that your boy uncovered. And let's go ahead and take a look at that here. Where Davis, interviewing Gervonta at the media day last Thursday, where he kind of put me on to this and brought up, what's kind of becoming this infamous body shot and mole. Let's hear Tank.
Hey Gervonta, just watching you shadow box, watching you work. Lots of angles, every punch in the book. Using the jab more for this fight. You don't have to jab a lot usually, but we saw the jab, man.
See the jab,
man.
Change jab, man. I don't know, man. I look a little decent. You know what I mean? Great fighter to use that jab. So I had to get that in my arsenal.
But were we kind of seeing what you're talking about?
He's got to keep that in his arsenal, and we'll talk about comparing the two arsenals. My man BT running the site went ahead and chopped up a side-by-side comparison video of the two fighters' arsenal, and we'll take a look at that. But Gervonta's about to talk about this infamous mole in camp and body shot.
About complete fighter, complete arsenal.
Yeah, well, a lot of people don't got.
Shout out to Oxnard, Mando C, Atara Israel, shout out from Detroit. It's Boxing and Barbecue, good to see you, brother. J7, good to see you.
You know what I mean?
How many others besides yourself you feel got it?
Dead Drop says, I thought Tank hated FightHype. I think Tank, even when someone like me from FightHype asks him a good boxing question, Tank, to his credit, I think he likes to talk boxing at a high level, and I think that's why he gave us some time right here.
It's a film out there. It's a film out there. Ain't too many. hit you in it.
When he was talking about wait till that left hook hits your body, is he going to be the one getting hurt to the body? He's got that tall frame and you know how to get underneath.
Davis and accurate, not a busy. He's not Errol Spence. He's not going to commit to the body and stay there all night. But when he places body shots, they are very effective. He knows how to place them under the elbows and very well placed and hard. He's a good body puncher. Maybe even a little underutilized, but he's got a tall frame in front of him in Garcia. And I love this is Tank right here pausing. Do I reveal this? Do I reveal this to this guy that I know a little something in camp? But talking about the body shot, I know a little something. And I like how Davis right here, let's rewind it. You see him contemplating whether or not he wants to reveal the information that he's gotten back to him in Garcia's camp.
You know how to get underneath?
He got hurt to the body before.
He said, all right, fuck it, I'll say it.
He think I don't know that. He got hurt to the body before.
What fight was that?
There was no fight. I asked him.
About when he got hurt to the body?
Yeah.
What was this, at Floyd's?
Nah.
This was...
Just ask him.
He said, just ask him. Oh, you know, here.
Let him know that I know he got hurt to the body.
You were there, or you got word back? Like...
Word get around. Word get around real fast. He got hurt to the body.
Well, I know great fighters in the past, they would have some eyes and ears in the other fighters' camp, keeping tabs on them.
Yeah. For sure.
What's that?
So, yeah, and that is old school boxing tactics. It's something Floyd Mayweather probably taught to him that he did as well. Floyd would have moles in the other camp. Muhammad Ali, infamously in Zaire, had all kinds of, inside information on George Foreman's camp. So that's really nothing new to boxing. And here, let's go over Ryan Garcia's response to that. My man Frankie, who was holding it down with me in Beverly Hills, went ahead and followed up and asked Ryan that question about the body shot. And here's what Ryan had to say.
Okay, okay. Second.
Historic night, hopefully. It's important.
Here it
Media
was.
there, Gervonta Davis.
Right here with K-Cap.
Ryan, at his media there, Gervonta Davis said that he's watching you at all times and that he knows you got hurt at some point during this training camp to the body. He's either lying or he has a double agent inside your camp. Which one is it? Is he lying or is there somebody in your camp that's giving him information?
He just has to come and try to hit my body, see if it's hurt, So that's all it is. Come. It must be a easier target than for you. If I'm hurt, you should be able to get to it, and there's my weakness. So if that's what he believes, then let him come find out.
So there you go. He didn't, shout out to my man Frankie for getting that answered for us. And he didn't, he didn't confirm nor deny the mole in camp for the infamous hurt to the body. So that brings us on to point number 2, which is Ryan Garcia is, and speaking of that body, Ryan Garcia is already at 139 pounds. Now, he revealed to us, and we'll take a look at this real quick, he revealed to us that the rehydration clause is in the morning. So, yeah, he can only rehydrate 10 pounds, but that's the morning of the fight. Once he weighs in at 146, then he can rehydrate fully to, upwards of 150 pounds. So, maybe we were making too much of this rehydration clause because it turns out it's in the morning, and so he can get up to 150 if he so chooses on fight night. It's because he's getting weighed in the morning to be 146 pounds. But all that said, as I downplay it, he looked thin. He looked thin to me, and not particularly strong heading into next week, heading into fight week. And Garcia's always been a thin kid, but with a certain amount of muscle on his frame. And I've seen his frame be more muscular in the past. And there's one, I put in parentheses there, the lower back, because I felt like the lower back in particular kind of highlighted what I'm talking about with Garcia. I'll take a quick look at that right here. So, take a look at Garcia. That lower back is the one part that kind of explains what I'm saying the most about his frame heading into this fight. There's not a lot of muscle on that lower, that back, and usually a fighter like Tank is solid right there. You see it there. He just looks thin. He looks thin. in the abdomen where Davis believes he's been hurt, you know, it looks thin and like it may not hold up to too many hard body shots. But you know, it's just we're just looking. You know, we don't know what we get till fight night. But this is just me prognosticating, being a neutral observer. You see that? You see that little jiggle? You see that little jiggle to his back? It's not tight. And that's where it shows what I'm talking about. That it's not as much muscle on his frame as I've seen him at other times. You know, part of that is the weight cut, obviously, but just take a look what I mean by that lower back right here. There's that little jiggle on the left side of his back, which tells you that 139 pounds he's walking with isn't all muscle right now. Some of it is just skinny. You see that little jiggle to his lower frame there when he's throwing? That tells me he's not as muscle bound as he has been at other times with his frame. And we'll talk right here about him talking about the weight and the rehydration. Let me shout out some people. Molly Mall said Sean Z fat shaming. No, the kid's in amazing shape. I mean, he's got a better body than me. You know, the kid's got a six-pack. He's in good shape. But at the highest of the highest levels, you got to nitpick a little bit. And Davis is coming in at a weight where he feels strong and solid, and his body's going to be strong and solid. This kid looked a little gaunt to me, a little thin to me yesterday, and not with the kind of muscle on his frame that I've seen with him at other times. So
I just
here we go.
good. I still do the same amount of training that I did at 150.
Is that that 10-pound weigh-in, is that in the morning, Ryan, or is it right before fight time? Or when do they got to do that weigh-in for the 10-pound rehydration?
Thank you so much. I think that's in the morning.
Also, you can still
So it's in the morning.
come in 155, you know, rehydrate properly for fight night.
I don't even come in that way though.
So what are these tacos?
Man, I don't walk around 155.
What do you walk around at?
151, 152.
This is
Well, he walks around 151, 152. He should come in on fight night at 151, 152. Tank will probably be around 145 pounds. Give yourself that size advantage. Who asked me about the tacos? I damn sure did eat the tacos. And we had the good tacos, man. And speaking of the tacos, my man, boxing analyst, we ate the real tacos. There's no carne asada, no pastor, no carnitas in those tacos. Those are veggie tacos. So it's a little bit of smoke and mirrors in him eating those tacos ahead of making weight.
It wasn't, none of what he said was bothering me. I did not complain about that. I'm just saying, like, I let him believe it. He's easy to trick. That's what I'm telling you.
And this is Ryan saying the art of war. And he said on the pads, and we'll go over that, he was only throwing at 20% on the pads. He's intentionally not showing everything, and that you know, trying to deceive Davis, make him think he's weak when he's really strong and all that. And maybe I'm going along for what Ryan's talking about too. Maybe I'm being fooled too, and I'm reading too much into it. You know, so maybe Garcia's right here.
He's like dumb, literally.
you want it. Well, is that like art of war? You want him to think you're weak when you're
Of
really
course.
strong? And right.
Of course, now I'm saying this just to confuse him. He'll never know.
How much of a surprise is
He's easy to trick. I'm telling you. He's like, even my boy went up to him in the club. He's like, I'm not Ryan's friend. He really believes. Like, he's just easy. He's gullible.
And that'll translate into the ring. You think
Yeah.
you could bait him in? He set a trap for that hook. Now, you won't tell us what the trap is, but
Yeah, of course not. You know, I mean, with a high level, you're not gonna just land at that hook. You gotta create ways to let him run into it.
Well, I'm happy he said that. You know, that he's going to have to create ways. So, you know, he's divulging. I don't really think he's just going to walk into a hook. I am going to have to set some traps to make it work.
does that mean doing traps and setups we haven't seen from you before that you bring out, for this fight?
Depends on what's going on in the ring. You know, basing it, understanding where he's trying to set up, where he's comfortable, where he relaxes, where he doesn't relax. What I've been setting up for 2 rounds, you just never know.
Did you see?
And Ryan and his mom revealed to me he had 215 amateur fights and won 200 of them. So maybe we are underestimating his boxing IQ. And I do think one thing this young man has going for him, even though I think he's going to be outgunned in skill and experience, defense, is is I think there's something in this guy that will rise to the occasion. I do think he was made for the bright lights. So
I feel like he was showing a lot of angles in that media workout, though, angle, pivot, all the skills he's talking about. Did you see it? Or
I mean, when does he do that much of that in the ring? He doesn't. I'm not falling for it, man. You don't fight like that.
Tank said he was going to stay.
yeah, but just because maybe you haven't seen all those feints and all those angles he was showing us last Thursday doesn't mean he's not going to bring it out for the biggest fight of his career, just like you're telling us you have things to bring out for the biggest fight of your career. And I think Tank has shown a number of those skills before against Hector Garcia, which was a technical type fight just recently.
Step straight to you from the jump. What are your response to that?
Come find out. Come overstep.
Big Boy Toy said, we all know what happened the last time a fool said something was the art of war. Cambosa said the same thing when he didn't make weight. Ryan's going to be an underwear model after this fight. Well, Big Boy Toys, I appreciate the comment. There's two sides of that, because Tank himself is engaging in the art of war by having moles in camp, by putting in weight restrictions, and that's the art of war too. You try to win the battle before it's ever fought. And both guys are only referencing the art of war because I'm putting it in their mouths. I'm saying Tank is at the art of war, Ryan is at the art of war. They didn't, they're verbalizing it that way because I'm doing that a little bit. Top Dog said Sean is a clown and that Ryan, the highest he comes into fights is 148 pounds. Shut the fuck up, Sean. Top Dog, I'm not going to shut the fuck up, but you can feel free to leave. And I'm just being an objective observer here. I expect Davis to win the fight because he's a better fighter at this stage in their careers. Not because of anything to do with weight, but, I call a spade a spade. If the man looked thin, and he did look thin.
He's gonna try to get me a run.
probably, right?
Actually, I have. Yeah, a couple times.
How do you rate the tacos, right?
Always best.
Brian, so Greer says this is the first time he's... What do you think about all the talk of your imperfections? That's like it keeps the chin up, and is it fair to say like those are flaws, or it's not what people are making it out to be?
It's they put too much thought in things sometimes, like because they're not fighters.
Boxing analyst said, Top Dog, take the knee pads off. Yes, exactly.
So they're looking for like what they can understand instead of just understanding that this is what I see at surface level, but they don't understand the real depth of the game. Like, it's not simple. It's not as simple as I'm gonna hit him because his chin is up. All the people.
Coded said, shaking my head, how much is he paying you to set up these excuses? No excuses, man. He's a grown man. He agreed to the contract, and ultimately, if he does fall short, I think it's because Davis is more prepared for this moment. He has a better defense. He has a better range of skills. If Ryan pulls this off, huge credit to him because Davis is the favorite, deserves to be the favorite. And, Ryan's jumping up a couple levels here. If he can land the left hook and knock him out, like he said, all credit to him. But, he looked thin to me at 139, already at 139, almost on weight. And it is what it is, man. We're going to call a spade, regardless if anyone likes it.
Being on the Instagram, come try to hit me. My chin up in the air. You're not going to be able to why. Have you even asked the question, why can't I hit him if it looks like I could hit him? Sometimes.
Why do you think it is?
You want to take him to
It's called understanding of distance and awareness. I mean, it's simple, but it's not simple when you're fighting. But if you've done it so long, you'll understand, Of course, the only mistake I really make sometimes is when I do attack somebody, I won't understand that I got to bring it back up. But that is obviously something I'm aware of.
And you have to understand, if you're Gervonta Davis fans and you're getting mad at me calling the sky blue and Ryan Garcia thin and dogs bark, you have to understand that there's a pros and cons to things in life. And that, when you choose to do an advantage that'll help ensure you win the fight, the pro is that it helps ensure you win the fight. The con is that if your opponent looks thin because and that other people will say the sky is blue and that he looks thin. So it is what it is. You got to be a big boy about that stuff.
Not fixed. Understanding distance.
Me personally, I think I'd rather do let people talk and make sure I win the fight. Who cares if Sean Zattel on the FightHype Live says that Ryan looks kind of thin at 139? Who cares as long as I knock him out? So, it is what it is.
Understanding of awareness, so you don't just get countered. Because
Brian M said they are both thin. It's 135 pounds. Yeah, but Brian M, one guy's 5'10 and the other guy's 5'5. The 5'5 guy's going to be a lot more solid and strong at 136 pounds. And that's part of why, again, he's probably going to win the fight next Saturday.
A lot of guys, they just throw Hail Mary shots. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Oh, he's attacking me. Huh? And if you get overcome, that's what happened to Alex Pereira. Such a devastating puncher. But after
So Tyler asked, do you hate Ryan? No, I not at all whatsoever. I actually think, you know, he has a nice family, and credit to Ryan Garcia, who, like Clarissa Shields, just two people that I remember, they are more humble now as successful pro fighters than they were when they began. You know, in the early stages of their professional career, you know, Shields and Garcia would be two fighters that sometimes were already hard to approach despite being early in their career. But to both of their credit, as they entered adulthood and actually grew more success. I mean, Clarissa's the best. This whole time I've been operating with the mic far away. Clarissa's the best, you know, female fighter of all time, and she's only become more approachable, better in interviews, you know, since then. And Ryan too. Ryan's become a more approachable, nicer guy, converted, you know, as a kind of a born-again Christian kind of thing. And people talk about, well, he drinks and he gambles, but he's, you know, it's like he said that very well on the red carpet, that, you know, becoming a God-fearing man is because you're imperfect, not because you're perfect following him. So I like Ryan Garcia, and I like his mother, Lisa, and his dad, Henry. I like his talent. I like how tall he is. He'll punch, you know, hard as hell, and has great hand speed, great talent. But I just think he's jumping up 3 or 4 steps too soon against a guy who's really ready for this moment, against a guy I think who's training harder than him, who's having a better camp, who has better chemistry with a great coach in Calvin Ford and Kenny Ellis. And hey, someone's got to win and someone's got to lose, and I got to favor Davis based on on this third point, maybe the most important point of them all, which is the arsenal. So third, probably most important point, arsenal. Now, Ryan held back at, quote, 20%, but he looked basic in comparison to Davis. And Davis was pivoting, pulling. His feet were constantly moving, starting with the jab, moving his head, constant motion. Feet, upper body, and hands. Everything moving at once. Different angles, punch, you know, getting the head off the line, punching off of it. Different angles, combinations, foot movement, upper body movement. Ryan, in comparison, much more basic. You know, standing straight up, right hand, left hook, right hand, left hook. Couple jabs here, right hand, left hook, right hand, left hook. No upper body movement, no foot movement, just standing in one place and throwing the straight right hand and the left hook. Now, he's doing that at 20%, and he's not showing us everything. He has a lot more to offer than what he showed us yesterday, but still, it's a preview of the fight. And Davis, Samuel Wright says, how do I know Gervonta's training harder? I mean, I don't know that for a fact, Samuel Wright, but I take a look at 24 All Access clips, and you look at the fact that Garcia's training with a weight bell in episode 2 that has no weights on either side. He's just doing this, and he's doing that. He's running against a resistance band, you know. But Davis is doing 1 hour bag sessions where you can see him pushing himself to the limit. His whole body sweating. You could see the strain on his punches. It's painful, but he's pushing. He's right, pushing that limit. And then he's doing the workouts with the resistance bands where he's punching with such bad intentions, with uppercuts, with hooks, with everything. And it's just from the looks of the All Access, Davis is training at a higher intensity. Garcia sometimes is training in a garage. He's not even training in a boxing gym sometimes. I mean, yesterday it was a cool look being up at Beverly Hills' $18 million mansion, but that's about as far away from the kind of environment Gervonta Davis is going to bring to you in the ring. It ain't going to be pretty. It ain't going to be Beverly Hills. It's going to be the streets of Baltimore that he brings into the ring. So yeah, the Arsenal look basic in comparison, and we'll take a look at that Arsenal right now. Someone mentioning the boxing realm, trying to troll me, trying to say I have an incel haircut. Boxing, but that's not true, man. Your boy Your boy got a beautiful wife. But anyway, Boxing Realm, appreciate your comment. Boxing Realm saying the 136 catch weight and the rehydration clause. Gervonta the diva draining Ryan twice. But Gervonta would fight Mario Barrios at 140 with no rehydration clause. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. He deemed Garcia a more dangerous opponent than Barrios from the actions he did. And so he wanted to have him at a weight that would benefit him more. You know, for Tank fans, they got a problem with me saying that. And for Ryan, you know, see, I get it from both sides. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Ryan didn't have to accept those terms if he would have fought a title fight or 3. You know, he wants that big money. He wants to go from this step to that step. And that's what might get him hurt next Saturday is that anxiousness to fight for the big money and the bright lights when you haven't done all the other steps before to get in there. You haven't fought a Barrios, a Isak Cruz, a dangerous guy like Romero, Leo Santa Cruz, small guy moving up, but still a good fighter, an experienced veteran. Ryan's never fought a world champion before. Luke Campbell, gold medalist. I mean, Javier Fortuna was a 130-pound champion. What I meant to say is he's never fought in a world title fight before. So it is what it is. Boxing Relp says so he takes the TikToker Garcia more seriously than Mario Barrios. Well, Davis, up until the point Barrios had fought Gervonta, he had a competitive 6-round war with Ryan Carl. He was fortunate. He scored 2 knockdowns in that fight, but the fight he won the WBA interim or regular belt at 140. He was fortunate. That was a fight he lost a lot of rounds in. So, and Garcia, for all the flaws people talk about, the chin up, you can't teach the talent that he does bring. You can't teach hand speed, you can't teach punching power, and you can't teach height. And, Ryan, up until the point where Barrios was at, because Barrios at 147 now is looking like a real contender. I think he's going to beat Ugas. But back at 140, where he was a little thin, maybe a little drawn getting down to 140, not as dangerous in certain spots as Garcia has looked at times with the combination of speed and power. Barrios never quite flashed the kind of explosive power Ryan has, so they did that. But it's on Ryan because if he puts himself in a better position heading into this fight, he's not forced to play the B side so much and take what's given to him. If he could have ran through Jojo Diaz, Jorge Linares, Hesta, and then get himself a title fight. Maybe Haney's moved up at that point. You get a vacant WBC and IBF. Now you fought some decent guys, some legit savvy veterans, and you're not green. You're seasoned. So we'll see. I got a super chat I got to get to in a second, and then we're going to take a look at Garcia's arsenal yesterday in Beverly Hills. My man Domingo Bonilla, thank you for the super chat, said Tank never really got to struggle in life. He might have been born in the hood of Baltimore, but he doesn't really know what struggle is. Well, Domingo, I don't know about that. I believe, I don't think his father's ever been in his life, and that alone makes you 9 times more likely to be incarcerated, 17 times more likely to not graduate high school. And then, we don't. Tank's a little mysterious because we don't know everything about him. We don't know about his dad. We don't really know how he grew up. How much was Calvin like his guardian and not just trainer, and but we do know he was a little tough boy from the hood in Baltimore that was knocking people out with his left hand as early as 5 and 6 years old, and that he's always been mean in that ring. But I appreciate Domingo Bonilla your comment, but saying he doesn't really know what struggle is. I mean, to play the other side of your point too is, well, sometimes when you show a lot of talent at a young age, you get a little sheltered and treated special. Maybe that happened to Davis a little bit, but it doesn't offset all the other things in his life that he's going on around. A lot of gangs in Baltimore. And then no father, and so it goes on and on. But let me see here. Here we go, and now we will look at Malcolm Baldwin. You are free to leave. And here we go. Now we'll look at Garcia's arsenal, and we'll compare it to Gervonta Davis. Right hand, left hook, catch. Nice little uppercut, left hook, right hand, left hook. but feet are in one place. The feet are in one place and the upper body is not moving. He's punching and catching, he's parrying, he's bringing the gloves back to parry, but no upper body movement, and he's standing in one place. He has some interesting mechanics on his straight right hand, and it looks like it's very explosive. It's a powerful shot, but I've never seen someone kind of flex his elbow in the way he does when he throws his right hand. It's unique to him. Cheeto says nobody takes the media workout seriously. That's not true. Burt Sugar, all the great writers back then watched the weigh-in, the press conference, and the media workouts intently.
Ryan,
oh, my bad, Malcolm Baldwin. I'm sorry, Malcolm Baldwin. Much love to you, Malcolm Baldwin. Sorry, I thought I was catching a stray there.
Ryan, what's the chance it's the right hand, man? On it, not the left hook.
You got to guess. Better guess right.
Because I asked that because he does have a good straight right hand. And I told Tank in our scrum, I said, Tank, but what if he does have, he says he's got a good straight right hand. Tank goes, no, he doesn't. He don't have no right hand. I said, well, what if he does? And he goes, won't matter. Still not going to win the fight. And I think what Tank's getting at there is, even if he is a two-handed puncher and not just the left hook, where's the defense? Where's the head movement? Where's the foot speed? Where's the feinting? Where's all of that kind of stuff? And that's what I think Tank was getting at when he told me, okay, if push comes to shove, he actually does have a really good right hand he can knock me out with. That's still not going to get it done because of the other things.
Ready? Info.
Yeah, see right there? See the way he flings his elbow out? I don't see I've never really seen people throw their straight right hand that way. It kind of pushes out a little bit sometimes when he throws that right hand. Even at 20% though, he could crack, on these pads. There's some head movement, but that's very rudimentary. Again, I know he's taking it easy. I know. One, two, three. Duck under once. Little bit of foot movement there. There switches direction there. Nice stance there by Garcia for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like Davis might be able to get underneath those shots. He's like if he stands that straight up when he throws them, Davis his whole life since he's a little kid has been getting used to ducking underneath taller guys and then hitting them over the top while he gets his head off the line.
Yeah.
So there's the arsenal, right? That was displayed. Not saying he doesn't have more than that, but there was the arsenal displayed. Now just take, and first I gotta get to a super chat. My man Illy Willy, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the 5. Ryan gets to rehydrate to whatever weight he deems fit after the second weigh-in. So why are people still complaining on that? Well, because I think Ryan's really a 140 pounder at this point in his career. I think his comfortable weight, where he's most effective, is 140 pounds. So that's where I think the complaint goes by a little bit in the first place, is that, first of all, his last fight was at 140. He's probably not really a lightweight anymore. After I saw his body in the ring against Fortune, I said, man, he looks good. This is his weight now. He looks strong at 140. I remember comparing him to Teofimo Lopez, who's a little shorter, and I said, Ryan looks more natural at 140 to begin than Lopez does, even though I think Lopez could beat Josh Taylor, but that's for another day. But that's where I think the complaint is the fans, they just want to see both guys at full strength. But ultimately, I don't think if Tank wins by knockout, it's because of the weight drain per se. It's because he's a more complete fighter, like he's been talking about, and it's because Garcia anxious to fight at this level, with this level of money and this level of lights around it and attention, the big stakes, anxious to get to the big stakes match, didn't build up properly to this moment. And he's banking on his talent, carrying the day anyways. And 99% of fighters he fights, his talent will bail him out because he is that talented. Problem with this fight is he's fighting a guy who's got that same kind of talent, that same kind of God-given talent of punching power, hand speed, and explosiveness. But this guy is more experienced, looks more skilled, better defense, and so that's what the fight will probably come down to. But to answer your super chat, Illy Willy, people are complaining because Garcia is probably at his strongest and at his best at 140 pounds. It's that simple. So now let's take a look at Davis right here, getting ready. Moving his feet. Moving his feet. Moving his upper body right there, pivoting off, and changing the looks with the parry. Not just catch with the same rhythm, but, putting the hand positioning in different place, moving off of different angles with his feet. Using the jab going backwards, and then using the jab going forward. Throwing it off the back foot, throwing it on the front foot. Punching and then taking a half step back, and then letting it rip. Punching and then taking a half step forward and letting it rip. Punching off that angle. And actually, a better video, we could just straight up compare the two here. Look at the position of their hand. Garcia, after he punches, his hands sometimes come back to the chest. That left hand too. Davis gets those hands back up quickly and right by the chin. See that? See that? He was throwing with the other hand and had the other hand ready to block. Garcia right here, he's letting his punches rip, and where's the chin? It's exposed. Where's Davis's? It's covered up. See that? See how those hands are right by his nose, right by his chin? Garcia's, he'll come back to his chest. Garcia punching in one place. Davis constantly moving his feet and hands at the same time, punching and moving. Now, Garcia being the taller, kind of bigger guy doesn't have to move as much as Davis. Davis being the shorter guy has to step around Garcia and find those angles more, but still. And Davis is throwing from a little bit better position of balance. Garcia standing straight up. Davis crouches down. He bends those knees. And that's going to allow him to probably get underneath a lot of those power shots as fast and as explosive as they are. Garcia throwing them, standing straight up. Davis with those knees bent, knows how to get low, probably get underneath them. See, pivoting off right there. Through the left hand, and then pivoted off to the side to set it up off an angle. Punching off pivots. Garcia didn't show any of that. He didn't punch off any pivots. I love that move right there. That got a ooh from me. The little pull, straight left hand. Watch. That was nice by Davis. That's a nice move. That's defense to offense. That's not just doing offense at one point and then defense. No, that's... See, Ryan sometimes when he catches and shoots, look, it's he punch, and then catch, right? Davis right there in that moment is making a move that's simultaneous defense to offense, all in the same moment. And that's being a complete fighter. Again, pivoting it off again, off the right hook, stepping over to his right, setting up his left hand. Because if he pivots off to his right after throwing that hook, then he gets his lead right foot to the outside of Ryan's left foot, and now his chin's off the line, and Ryan's chin is centered with his left hand when he does movements like that. That's better by Ryan right there. Catch, and the shoot right away. How big is the skill gap between the two? Asked my man Molly Mall. I would say Davis is at a 9 and Garcia is at a 7. Something like that. So I put Davis's skills at like an A-. Garcia's at like a C+, but his talent is an A in terms of punching power and hand speed, and he's tall. He's big for the weight. So Garcia's equalizer to the skills advantage for Davis is his height, is his left hook, is his speed. I actually think Garcia is faster than Davis, and Davis is underestimating his speed. Davis was saying on All Access he's not really that fast. Looking at him on tape, I think pure speed, timing beats speed. So if both guys are really fast, but one guy has much better timing, that's who's going to land the shot. And so we'll see. But I think Garcia is faster than him. But I think the skill gap is Davis by a significant margin. Not that Garcia doesn't have skills. I just haven't seen from him so far the skills that Davis has. But sometimes it doesn't matter. You just have to do a couple of things really well. Golovkin, great power jab, great punching power in both hands, kept his chin tucked and went forward. It's not like he had to do a million things to be an elite fighter. So if you can make a couple of things and you got him down packed, like Garcia, if he really has that check left hook down packed, like he says, that might be all he winds up needing. But when you're trying to assess who's the favorite here, I think based on a lot of the things we're going over, it's Davis. And that means in a fight like this, with two punchers like this, anything really can happen, especially when the other guy who's the underdog isn't just a puncher, but he's big and he's fast too. So anything can happen in this fight. It will end in a knockout. I don't think you're going to get a fast pace in this fight. It's not going to be like Morales and Barrera, a million punches. It's going to be tense, and every punch at any moment feels like it could end or change the fight dramatically. But 10 days out, I got to favor Davis. He just because of the stuff he's saying is holding up to reality, to my eyes. More complete fighter. So I favor him right now, heading into fight week next week. And one last thing, through those 3 points though, Garcia is still a tall, explosive, and dangerous fighter. And despite all the advantages I just gave to Davis, if he walks into a left hook, because he has to cut distance as the shorter guy, he could be knocked out in this fight. And I still think Ryan's path to victory in this fight is, and Oscar De La Hoya was saying this to Ryan's mother, you can win this fight, just conserve energy. Davis only throws 20 to 35 punches in the first 6 rounds per round. He's essentially giving up rounds. So don't show him anything. Don't show him that left hook unless he's coming forward, walking into it. Tag him with the straight right hand at distance. You could keep your distance, little jab, straight right hand. You could keep distance from that. But if you try to land that hook, you have to be at a certain range to get that hook off. And so I feel like the first half of the fight, when Davis gives away rounds, take them. And take them and save that fuel. Unless an opportunity presents itself, then you take it in whatever round it comes. But save that fuel for the inevitable storm that's going to come from Davis in the middle rounds. And if Davis is behind 4 rounds to 2, 5 rounds to 1, 5 rounds to 2, when that storm begins and he knows he's got to play catch-up, and Calvin Ford and Kenny Ellis are telling him you're behind like they have in past fights when they've been honest with Davis, then that makes Davis press and take some chances, and now maybe you do walk him into that left hook you've been talking about. So I don't count Garcia out. I can't count out a fighter with his talent level out. But I got to favor Davis 10 days out. Got to favor him based on the things we're going over. Robert, thank you, my man Robert, for the super chat. And we got over 700 people on this live. This is awesome. Robert says, Tank is top 10 on CompuBox plus minus, but people still say he gets hit too much. And Davis is a good defensive fighter. He has the tools to remain a good defensive fighter. He has upper body movement. He's athletic. His feet are athletic. And he has good dexterity. He's able to keep his balance when pivoting off, when shifting and moving his head and getting low. But being a knockout artist, you're going to get touched up, no matter how, fluid you are and the good defense. And Davis, maybe he would have the defensive numbers by CompuBox closer to Stevenson or Haney if he was just trying to purely box. Although that's not fair to Stevenson and Haney because he's not very active either. It's not like he's pushing the fight, coming forward, throwing 50, 60 punches, and that's why he's getting touched up more. He fights at a slow pace anyways. Those guys are... I think Davis is really good defensively. Those guys are a bit better, Stevenson and Haney. But I agree with you, Robert. I think he's a good defensive fighter, and I've never really found his defense to be a flaw. I think his flaw is the work rate. I think that could catch up to him against a busy jab like Haney, who could pile up points, and then all of a sudden you need a knockout in the second half, and now you're trying to chase around and knock out a guy who's got a very good defense and things like that. So I've never looked at Tank's defense really as a weakness, more his work rate, and I know part of that, there's a reason to it. Being that patient and economical makes you very accurate and sets up the knockout at some point. But that it still could be a flaw that could be taken advantage of. But thank you for the super chat from my man Robert. Getting a lot of America pride in the chat. That's cool. Shout out to the good old US of A. Ant McQueen says it's typically when he's trying to bait guys with the high guard where he gets touched. Yeah, and a lot of guys get touched doing that. Benavidez let Caleb Plant touch him a couple weeks ago. Just being in the high guard, shoot some stuff off because I want something to work with here. I want to punch in between your punches or time you up and punch at the same time you're punching. So sometimes they let guys work their hands and get off and touch them with things that's not really bothering him. Good point, Ant McQueen. So, and speaking of punching when the other guy's punching in between punches, that's my early prediction for how this fight ends by knockout. I think that, think Tarver Jones, even though Tarver was the tall guy and Roy was the shorter guy, and Tank's actually the shorter guy and Ryan's the taller guy, but think Tarver Jones when Tarver, by the way, closed his eyes when he threw it, and everyone's talking about Ryan closes his eyes. So maybe I'm predicting Tank to be Tarver here, but maybe he's Tarver, and he knocks out Tank like Tarver knocked out Roy with a shot he didn't even have his eyes open for, with a left hand. But I think Roy was timed by that left hand. Buddy McGirt, my man Kenny Buhari, who runs the PBC podcast, he once told me, shout out to my man Kenny, he knows I love him. He once told me a story of when he talked to Buddy McGirt. And Buddy said, we knew we were going to knock Roy out. The whole game plan was simply punch when Roy's punching. If you can time Roy and punch at the same time he delivers his punch, you'll land because he's pulling straight back with the chin up, right? And I think Davis is going to do what he always does, take his time. He may even be trailing after 6 rounds with Garcia. But I think he'll get underneath. I think they'll both open up at the same time. And knowing Ryan's chin is up and he stands straight up sometimes when he delivers that hook or he delivers his power shots, I think Davis, after downloading the information in the first half of the fight, will know the angle to take to get the head off the line against what's coming back his way, and he'll deliver over the top and win the fight by knockout or hurt Ryan, and that'll begin the stoppage. Ryan will still be up but badly hurt. Tank will follow it up with some more offense, and that'll end the fight. But that's just how I visualize it right now. I think the fight gets to the second half of the fight. Garcia may be ahead, but I think Davis, at that point, will get his head off the line. He'll time Ryan to punch at the same time Ryan's punching, and he'll take advantage of Ryan's chin not being off the line and land something and win the fight by knockout. So if Garcia, has got a lovely family, great talent he's been born with. If he pulls it off and he knocks Davis out, credit to him. Boxing has a new superstar. But all the foreshadowing I'm seeing, all the signs lead to what Las Vegas, the odds makers are saying Davis will win this fight. And and someone's getting knocked out in this fight. And since I'm picking Davis to win, that means Davis by knockout. That's my 10 days out prognostication on this fight. So got almost 800 people in the chat that joined in to see it. You guys are awesome. My man Aaron Montford with the super chat says, Ryan still holds the fastest knockout time. He just needs to get his timing down and set up his shots and don't get caught. Aaron, a lot of people, and thank you so much for the super chat, but you're essentially banking on, you're not saying he's going to win, you're just mentioning what he has to do to win. A lot of people, Sanisa Estrada, Oscar De La Hoya, Bernard Hopkins, yourself with your comment, Aaron, there's a lot of if Ryan gets the timing down, sets up his shots, and doesn't get caught. If Ryan, Bernard Hopkins told me, trains with Joe Goosen and pretends he has a tennis ball under his chin for 10 weeks. If this and that, it's too many all those are what ifs because he hasn't had the development. You're saying he needs to get his timing down. You get your timing down against Mercito Hesta, Jojo Diaz, Jorge Linares, other veteran fighters. You don't get your timing down heading into the biggest fight of your career if you don't have your timing down up. If you don't got your timing down up into that point, it's too late. So we'll see, and don't get caught, Aaron. His offense is his defense in that regard. Ryan doesn't get caught a lot because guys are wary of coming in on him and getting caught by that power. It's not because he has a whole bunch of defensive nuance. He's kind of one of those guys where the offense is the defense. Deontay Wilder, a lot of fights he's gone unscathed because the other guy was fearful of his life to come inside and exchange. So, but Aaron, one thing that Ryan does have going for him with those what ifs is he very much strikes me as a fighter, as a man, as a young man, a kid that loves the stakes being highest, right? He likes to gamble. I do think he'll rise to the occasion. Whatever he's got in him that he's capable of, he's going to bring it out at 100%, 110%. I think the bright lights where some guys fight better in the gym, fight better in a smaller show than they do under those bright lights. I think he's one of those guys who lives for those bright lights. So maybe he's able to get down to live up to some of those what ifs, some of those wishful thinking, some of that optimism. If he does this, if he does that, maybe he does because of that thing inside of him that will rise to the occasion, So, but I gotta go by the data we've already had up until this point in their careers, and the data points to Davis. So that's about all I got for you guys. That I hope I enjoyed all 730 people in the chat rocking with me. I want to get to some people in the chat before we get up out of here. We got Joe Joyce Saturday live round by round fight in Big Bang Jang. Big Bang Jang is so fun to watch. He's not going to beat Joe Joyce, but it'll be fun to watch as long as it lasts. Let me see here. Psyched said the fight's not going. My man Bronco Kid, what's up, Bronco Kid? Who's on the undercard? God, I still got to check. That's a good question, Bronco Kid. Let me take a look right here. Nothing. That's a great question. I still haven't even checked. Undercard. Let's take a look. Oh yeah, Gabe Rosado in a rematch with Beck the Bully. Ew. And my man Senna Egbeko, that's right. Okay. Good co-main event because we get a look at the best young super middleweight. David Benavidez is graduated past the best young super middleweight phase. That was him a couple years ago. David Morrell, best young super middleweight in boxing, might actually fight David Benavidez next. Solid chance that happens. He's the co-main event against Senna Egbeko. I had a great interview with Senna Egbeko. Lovely man, great man out of Ghana, Africa. 27 wins, 2 losses, 21 knockouts. Big underdog against Morrell because of Morrell's pedigree and talent. So that's the co-main event. And then Beck the Bully, who got knocked out by Gabe Rosado in one of the knockout of the years about 2 years ago. He's getting his rematch. You don't really want to see Rosado on a big pay-per-view at this stage of his career, but I am looking forward to at least seeing David Morrell. David Morrell is a fantastic up-and-coming super middleweight. So let me see. Metal Mania. Thank you, my man, for the $10 super chat. I get to celebrate. There we go. I'm trying to press the celebrate button. I don't know how to. Anyways, thank you so much, Metal Mania. Could it be that Ryan is bluffing on how he is conducting his media workout, then comes out fighting completely different on fight night. I mean, we all have to know that Tank is watching. Absolutely, Metal Mania, and that's why I did include in the notes he held back at 20%. Because that was his quote, 20%. Because as much as I'm taking away from that media workout, like you said, he could be holding back. I just think when he's talking about holding back, he's talking about the velocity and the force on his shots. I don't think I haven't seen up until this point in his fights, in his training, great upper body movement, great defense, great footwork, counter punching, great jab, things like that. Davis doesn't have a great jab himself, but he does have timing. He does have counter punching. He does have positioning and footwork. And I haven't seen those kind of things from Garcia. Again, I think he's got it in him to rise to the occasion. So I think we are going to see some things from Garcia we haven't seen yet, because this big fight in this level of opposition is going to bring it out of him and his talent. But I think he's not going to show so much that it's going to be enough to turn the tide in his favor. That's just what I think. I do think he's going to come out, Metal Mania, from round 1 and fight well. And I think he'll show I belong at this level. I just think he'll kind of hit a wall in the heart of the fight, and Davis will have figured him out, figured out his rhythm, figured out the trajectory of his punches and how to evade them, and then the next step after figuring out how to evade him is how to make him then pay off the misses. That's what he did to Rolly Romero. That fight was kind of going Romero's way after 4 rounds. Round 5, Davis turned up the defense. It's not like in round 5 he did a whole lot, but he turned up the defense, started making Rolly miss. And then what that made Rolly do in round 6, when the guy starts missing all his punches, it can make some fighters anxiety. And Romero then began to reach with his punches. And then he reached, and then he got caught. And that could happen in this fight too. Davis could begin to get underneath the tall guy, start making a miss, and then Ryan knows it's only so many times he's going to miss these shots before something's coming back. And that begins to give him anxiety, and then you can start to reach, and you become easier to counter once you do that. But thank you for the super chat, Metal Mania. To finish your question and your super chat, yes, there's always a chance that Garcia, with 215 amateur fights, he won 200 of them, beat Devin Haney 3 times. Devin came back and beat him 3 times. There's always a chance he has much more skill than he's shown to this point, but I got to go off the data we've seen thus far. And again, I think he's going to rise to the occasion. I think he's going to fight a good fight. I think he will show some wrinkles in his game. Oh, wow, Ryan can do that? But I think his distance control will impress us. I think his ability... We've never seen him use his height that too much because he wants guys to come in and walk into the hook at a certain range. I think you're going to see Ryan be his most disciplined with his distance control than we've ever seen him. We're going to see this guy can box, but Davis will figure it out as the fight goes on and eventually land the kind of shot that either badly hurts Garcia and begins the end or ends it right there and then. And that's why Andre Ward, the great Andre Ward, Hall of Famer, said this fight comes down to, in his opinion, if Garcia can take a punch. If Garcia can take the punch, then he may indeed win the fight. But I think both guys are the kind of punchers where you can't really sustain too many shots. There's some punchers that no matter, even if you got a good chin, they hit you a half dozen times and it's a wrap. So we'll see. My man Defects1, thank you for the super chat, says, do I got the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 arcade 1-up? I don't have Marvel vs. Capcom 2 arcade 1-up. This is from the OG Marvel vs. Capcom arcade 1-up. I got that downstairs with X-Men vs. Street Fighter and all that. I'm letting my bread I'm letting my money stack a little bit before I splurge on that $600 Marvel vs. Capcom 2 cabinet. I already got the NFL. This is gonna fuck up the shot, but we're almost done, so I'll show you. I got the NFL Blitz cabinet right there, and that game is so fire. I have so much fun with that game in the office. It holds up so well after 25 years. But I love Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Defects 1. I will buy it eventually, but for now I'm still sitting on the original Marvel one. Anything else that you guys want to touch on before I get out of here, man. We've gone for about an hour now. We had 700 people, almost 800 rocking with us. I hope you guys enjoyed it. You know, just to dispel it again, man, I'm not Team Garcia. I'm not Team Tank. I'm Team Boxing and trying to give you guys actual insight. What good is my opinion if it has no real insight to it? So that's it. If you're a Tank Davis fan, if you're a Ryan Garcia fan, enjoy the fight. I don't have a horse in this race. I'm just going to call it like I see it. If Garcia looked thin, he looked thin. If I think Davis has better skills, he's got better skills. They're both two guys in their physical prime. I'm happy they're fighting. I have a great time covering them and watching their fights. May the best man win. The way I look at it, observing them both neutrally, I gotta agree with Vegas that Davis is the favorite heading into 10 days from now. But Garcia, with his height, speed, and power, can pull it off. So we'll see. White Tiger saying, who's the best 135er in your opinion? I think it is Haney, and I don't just say that because he has all 4 belts. I think he's a big guy for that weight class, and he's mastered how to rehydrate. This is probably his last fight at lightweight. But the jab is a great punch. Most people would say the best punch in boxing. He's got the best jab in the division, and he's got the length to go with that jab to dictate with it. And I think he's a really, really excellent boxer with great hand speed. And I know a lot of people favor Shakur Stevenson to beat Haney, but Haney has more volume than Stevenson, throws more punches per round. You can look it up. Although this last fight, Shakur, having a guy in front of him like Yoshino, he threw some beautiful combinations, beautiful offense, a performance by Stevenson last Saturday. But that fight notwithstanding, Haney tends to be a little busier, tends to get off a little bit more. He's bigger than Stevenson, started his career at 126. Haney's began his career at 135. I don't think we're going to get that fight next. I think Devin's going to move up to 140, and you'll hear a lot of criticism from fans that he ducked Shakur moving up to 140. But to answer your question, White Tiger, I think that Haney is the guy. Aaron Edwards says, work on your questions before you interview fighters. Aaron Edwards, all due respect, my man. Where's my phone at? Where's my phone? I wish I could show you. Well, hell, I'll pull up the laptop. I got the laptop here. Just so you know, and I understand if you still don't like my questions, you're entitled to that. But just so you know, my man, I'm never winging it on these questions. And it's always harder in media scrums with the pressure and a million people around. Who was that? Anthony Edwards? Well, the man's name was Aaron Edwards. Says, I wish when you guys interview fighters, you stop asking the stupid question, who hits the hardest? No one's standing to take punishment. You get caught with a shot and you move forward. I don't know what you mean. People are interested when a fighter has fought 2 common opponents. For example, if you interviewed Jose Pedraza, you'd of course want to ask him who hits harder, Davis or Lomachenko, because he fought both. Forget speculation. This guy actually has the answer. That's why you ask him. But Aaron, my man, this is for a Michaela Mayer interview prep. And, this is Michaela Mayer. This is me watching, an hour and a half, 2 hours of fight film before I interview, going over interviews other media have done. And I prepare all kinds of questions. The problem is, when you're in a red carpet setting like yesterday in Beverly Hills, you get a chance to maybe ask 1 or 2. And then so when you're reduced to 1 or 2 questions, you got to ask the money question. You got to ask the question that you're going to click on. You don't get time to flesh out the interview and really go in depth and ask all this stuff you prepared. But, I mean, here's everything I had prepared for Ryan yesterday. Let's go over them. Ask Ryan about the body shot. Bring up how Sugar Ray Leonard went down before Hagler, and yet he still won the fight. Are we making too much about it, even if you did get hurt to the body? Andre Ward said, can he take the punch? He said, you're no walkover. Very explosive, but will that question be answered? What do you think about Ward's assessment there? Barrios was a tall, tough, good fighter with good skills. Some of your attributes. Why will this be a much tougher fight for Tank than that was? How much do you think you'll outweigh him on fight night? You've predicted a knockout. Are you predicting it's more likely he runs into a shot, or you're going to have to go and get him, get off first? How dangerous are you in these exchanges? Is this like Russian roulette? Bernard Hopkins said your chin has to be like a tennis ball, is under it at all times. What do you make of that? And the talk that your chin is too high in the air. What happened with the Mercito Hesta fight? Tanks has a lot of experience getting to face more world champions that developed him. How do you overcome that experience gap? Going back to the amateurs, how much did fights against guys like Devin Haney help you prepare for this kind of fight? How do you take advantage of his low output of punches? Do you think you'll pick up on the rhythm of his spurts in this fight, Ryan? Because Tank does fight in spurts. What are the fines if you come in at fight night above 150 pounds? Thoughts on him saying that you are a hypocrite, worse than him, and that you stand for two different things? And what do you think it is that each of you stand for? And I have tons of questions for these guys. You don't always get to ask them, my man. But I appreciate your comment, Aaron Edwards, because it gives me a chance to talk about that stuff. So yeah. So yeah. I'm happy Aaron asked me about that because, you know, I'm sure some of you feel the way Aaron does sometimes. Why'd you go for the clickbait question and not the X's and O's? By the way, a lot of times, no matter how good I formulate these X's and O's questions, these guys are tight-lipped. They don't want to talk about anything approaching game plan or any of that. And those are most of my genuine questions I have for them because I'm a boxing guy, you know. I want to know. So that puts me in a tough spot sometimes because I'm asking them stuff they don't really want to talk about. So then sometimes put yourself in my shoes, right? If you ask them about their fight, there's only so far you can go because they don't want to divulge anything that actually matters, any actual valuable information. Okay, so we can only talk so much about this fight you actually got. What about the other fights? What about fighting Haney or Stevenson? Oh, now here you go talking about other fighters, talking about other fights. Why don't you just focus on this fight? So then you talk about this fight. Well, we can't talk about the game plan. Okay. How about your personal life, champ? Why are you talking about my personal life? Well, I can't talk about other future opponents, and I can't really talk about this opponent. Let's talk about you and what's going on. Well, I don't want to talk about. It's not always as easy as you think, and sometimes you bitch up, you freeze up a little bit. The champ's in your face. There's a million cameras around, and you're like, what was I gonna ask again? Who hits harder? You know. So, just being transparent with you guys, my people. So. But that's about it, man. That's about all I got for you guys. Looking forward to the fight. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Let's see. I'm just checking through the chat one more time. And, yeah. Maybe we'll close on this one. How do I see these two? We'll close on these two. My man Shine saying, how do you see Haney versus Loma playing out? And Pinche Manzana saying, how do you see, or who do you have, Tio or Taylor? So I got Lion Prophet said, bro, you a goat, my guy. You and I got a Dreamcast. I got a Dreamcast. Forget all the questions. The fact that I have a Sega Dreamcast that makes it into every stream makes me the GOAT. I agree with you. But so to close on those two fights, Haney and Loma, Tio and Taylor, and we'll dive in when those fights are really here. We'll dive in more, and we'll get to go to their media days like we did for Ryan and Tank and assess up close. But Lomachenko, a lot of you guys that joined the lives know my take on it. Lomachenko began at 26. Haney's a career 135 who's rehydrating to 155. Lomachenko loves to get that lead foot to the outside of another fighter, but when he's faced with an athletic fighter like Teofimo Lopez or Devin Haney, who can pivot off with him, not just let him shift his way to the outside of their lead foot, he becomes more hesitant and the offense isn't as good because Lomachenko isn't a guy that punches off the back foot. It's all lateral, side to side in. And against a tall kid with a great jab like Haney, who's a good counterpuncher too, who can walk you into the right hand, the check hook, could even walk you into some uppercuts like he did Kambosos. I favor Haney. He is an ascending force, and Lomachenko, while still a top lightweight, still a very good fighter, is a descending force. So one guy's bigger, younger, getting better. The other guy's smaller, older, not getting better. And the fact that stylistically Haney has the athleticism with his feet to pivot off with Loma, pivot off with him, keep him lined up, I think Haney wins a decision. Now Haney will have to have worked on some things since the Jojo Diaz fight, since the last time he fought a southpaw. Because Jojo won about 4 clear rounds in that fight, getting into mid-close range, which Lomachenko, that's where he likes to operate too, and hitting Devin with a lot of left hands in that fight. If Devin didn't learn from that fight, and there's no reason he shouldn't have, he was only 21, 22, he probably, okay, and that's what I mean with Ryan and Tank. Like, Ryan didn't get that experience. Someone like Haney now, when he faces Lomachenko, he's faced someone like Diaz before. Diaz isn't Lomachenko, but he's a southpaw, similar stature, likes to come in forward, likes to let go of his left hand at mid to close range like Lomachenko. And now you're ready for, you went through that test, and now you're ready for that test against a guy with similar but greater attributes. So I still think Lomachenko could have some of the same moments JoJo had in Devin's fight, which was a competitive fight. But ultimately, Devin's better now than he was then. And I think Devin wins a unanimous decision, 117-111. So he decisions Lomachenko more decisively than Lopez or Salido did. And that's how I see that fight. And then Tio and Taylor, I'm going with Teofimo. I'm going with the slight underdog here. Taylor said that he expects to break him down between 6 and 8 rounds. And I believe Taylor that he believes that. And so because of that, I think he's going to approach the fight a certain way. Every fight. Jose Ramirez was the one fight where he used his length a little bit more. But then again, Ramirez was coming face forward. It was a little easier to walk him into that straight left hand because you got the style. But besides that, Taylor, despite being a tall guy at 5'10 at 140, doesn't really use his height. He's a tough, fiery Scotsman who wants to fight, who wants to break you down, who wants to exchange. And I think fighting like that could get him caught against Teofimo, even if he's winning the fight. By round 6, 7, 8, I think Lopez, who's a natural counterpuncher, if Taylor kind of allows Lopez to settle into the style he's most comfortable with, which is kind of sit back and have a guy come to you and counterpunch, then I think Tio at some point is actually going to catch Taylor between rounds 6 and 8 and hurt Taylor in a way Taylor hasn't been hurt before. We haven't seen him hurt before. And I think Tio can stop him at that point. I'm picking Teofimo Lopez. Now, don't get me wrong. Tio is all over the place mentally. Doesn't seem mentally strong or in a good place right now. He could get worked over and beaten down by Josh Taylor. But I think Tio, when he's allowed to fight in the style he's comfortable with, not on the front foot, but on the back foot, being the flashy counterpuncher, that's where he's at his best, and that's where he remains a very talented fighter. And I'm going to give the edge to the slight underdog, Teofimo Lopez. So maybe it's the New York in me, but no, it's really not. It's really not. Tio, to me, is a more talented fighter and specimen than Taylor in terms of reflexes, power, gifts. Taylor, though, is been shown us up into this career he's mentally tougher than Lopez, and he's the natural 140-pounder. So, but that's how I see the fight playing out. I think Taylor's going to walk into something at some point and get hurt, even if he's ahead, even if he thinks he's breaking Lopez down, but he's really staying in front of him a little bit too much. And I think it could be the right hand by Lopez, so we'll see. So that's about it, man. I hope you guys enjoyed the live. That'll be it. I hope you guys enjoyed everything. You guys are awesome. Check back in Saturday night. We'll do the Joe Joyce round by round. I know some of you people who love Undisputed. I'm sorry, I've been slacking on the Undisputed. And when I'm slacking, I don't want to play on the live. I want to be sharp and looking good on the live. I'm undefeated on the live. If you tallied up my Undisputed record on the live, it's like 30-0 at this point. So we're not trying to fuck it up. We're being smart. We're being smart, baby. Smart. Let me be on my Floyd Mayweather. We're not here to talk about other fighters. Y'all want me to fight on Undisputed, but last time I checked, I'm the king. I'm the cash cow, and I fight when I want to fight. So that's how we're gonna sign out here. Okay. All right. That's how we're gonna do it. Thank you everyone for enjoying the live, and you guys are awesome. Everyone stay blessed. Happy late Easter, and everyone enjoy and check back in Saturday, man, for Joe Joyce for his big